Receiving Schools, here is a reference for today's lesson. Your strand, substrand, outcome, topic, materials, and your reference.
Good morning, 8Cs, Receiving School students and teachers.
Good morning, Miss Irma.
Thank you. You may all sit down. All right, 8Cs and receiving students. Now, in our previous lesson, the 8Cs, okay, 8Cs, we went for an excursion. And as receiving students, you didn't see the students in the classroom, but they were out for an excursion. Now, we all went to, okay, we went to the World Bank, right? We went to the World Bank to, actually we were there, okay, in a video conference, right, with the people, yeah, from Singapore, World Bank, okay, and also Tokyo. So we were participating in a video conference, all right? So I'm sure the receiving students, you saw what happened, okay? You saw what took place, right? And I'm sure the 8Cs, you enjoyed the trip or the excursion, okay? And you also, I'm sure you learned so much from the excursion, okay? So like one of the aim of this topic, okay, was to identify different means of communication, that improves trade. Now this is one type of communication, video conferencing, where you sit down and you watch and you know, communicate with others out there in the world. Okay, so that was one type of, so actually you went there and you took part in it. Okay, you took part in this video conferencing, which is very good. Okay, so I'm sure also the receiving students will also agree. They also enjoyed from watching, okay, you taking part in this type of video conferencing. Okay. So like I said, this lesson is just a follow-up, okay, of our excursion, So, okay, we'll just go through some of the questions, and then I have one activity for you which you're going to write in your exercise book, okay? But for these questions, we're just going to go through orally, okay? We'll just go through orally, and then we have an activity for you, 8Cs and receiving students. Okay. If you can still remember, if you can recall our friend talking to us about the World Bank, what is the role of the World Bank? Sandra, the role of the World Bank. If you could remember, Peter, was it? Peter Stevens from Singapore. Remember Peter Stevens from Singapore talking to you, okay? The role of the World Bank. Sandra, I'm asking you the question. What is it? What's the role of the World Bank? Okay, someone help Sandra. Zimalin? Or Priscilla? Okay. All right, we'll have Sandra. Yep.
Reduce poverty.
Sorry, speak up.
It helps to reduce poverty in the world.
okay, to reduce poverty. To reduce poverty in the country. Yes, you agree with Sandra? Okay, was all right. That's one. Okay, one role of the World Bank to assist countries in reducing poverty. All right, Priscilla, please.
It helps poor countries going into economic crisis.
Again.
Helps poor countries that are going through economic crisis.
All right, it helps poor countries, or it assists poor countries that are going through economical crisis. Yes, Anna.
The World Bank not only lends money to countries, but it also gives advice to countries of how to maintain their nation.
Okay. All right, good, Anna. So you heard that it not only lends money, but also gives advice. All right. Yep. Okay. Oh, Teddy, want to say something? Okay. Mike, please.
It tries to help countries build the economic.
Sorry.
Tries to help countries build the economic.
Okay. So just like what Priscilla said, it helps countries economically. All right. And like what Anna said, not only gives money but gives advice and make sure that the people of the country benefit, okay, from resources available. Okay, good. All right, the next question. Receiving students, if you heard or you took note of what Mr. Peter Stevens was saying, how long does the World Bank give countries, yep, to repay their loans? So if they make a loan from the World Bank lends money to these countries. How long does it take for them to, how long will the World Bank give these countries to repay the loans? All right, receiving students. Okay, Andrew, since the mic is next to you.
30 to 40 years.
20 to 40 years, right? Okay, 20 to 40 years, the World Bank gives, okay, this period of time, 20 to 40 years, for those countries to repay their loans. Okay, good. Next one. I think this question has already been answered. Is there anything else that the World Bank gives apart from lending money? Gives advice, anything else? Okay, I think projects or like what yesterday we went through that type of communication, okay, video conferencing, those type of projects it gives, or it helps, it assists with. Okay. All right. Okay, so those are our questions which I said I'll give you orally, or we'll look at them orally. Okay, our activity or your activity, because you went for your excursion, okay, you went for your trip, the 8 C's, okay. So what you're going to do now is you are going to, okay, you're going to write a report, or you're going to write a what will I say? Not a report, but sort of like a story, yeah, about your trip or your excursion. Okay? It is, you listening to me? Based on your excursion, you're going to write a report or a story based on your the trip, okay? So like what you did, okay, how you felt and all that. Okay, just a simple report or a story about your trip. All right, it says, you understand what I'm telling you? Okay, very simple report or very simple story based on your excursion. Okay, so this is where literacy or English comes in. So you went for your excursion. Okay, what did you do? What was your what was your aim of going there? Who you met? Okay, just write a story about it or a report about it. Okay. Okay, when you have finished, and we can have some volunteers to read out. All right, it says, for the receiving students, okay, receiving students, you're also going to write a report on what you saw, okay, on what you saw or what you learned from this video conferencing or from this excursion. Okay, so receiving students, you didn't go there, but you saw or you watched. Okay, so you in your books you're going to write a simple report, okay, of what you learned or what you saw. All right, receiving students. Now for the 8Cs, like I said, you write your short report or story about your trip. Simple as that. And then after this, I'm going to choose volunteers to read out. Okay. So we'll have some volunteers to come to the front and read. So please, I want you to finish your story or your report within this lesson. So when you finish, I'll go through them. Remember I said I'll collect your books, your exercise books tomorrow. Yes.
Starting from the school and then we went.
Starting from the school, we don't have to write starting from the school. Yeah. You went. What was like how you felt, or when you went into the room? Okay, what did you learn about? Okay, what were some new things that you learned about? So it's like based on your trip, let's say not from the school, but from there. Yes. Okay, just a simple one. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When did we leave?
Recess, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. 11 o'clock, No. 20 minutes, maybe 20 past 10 or something. Or half past 10, I'm not too sure. Anyone finished? Okay, not yet. Okay, anyone finished? 8Cs? If you haven't written it neatly into your exercise book, it doesn't matter. You can just read from um, the paper that you just wrote on. So like I said, just a short report or story based on your excursion or your trip. Maybe we'll have some boys and 2 boys and 2 girls. Or Okay. Looks like some students are ready to read out theirs. All right. When those of you who have finished and when you are ready, okay, you are asked to come to the front and read out your story or your report to the rest of the class and to the rest of the people out there. Okay, who would like to come up to the front first? Or any volunteers to just go up to the front, and while waiting for the others, you can also stand up in front so you all can. Okay, we'll have Nakowas. Thank you very much, Nakowas. Okay, we start off with Nakowas. Okay, Caroline. All right.
Around 11 when we arrived at Deloitte Tower, we got out of the bus and walked upstairs and went into the lift. We walked straight to the conference room. They welcomed us and told us to sit down. The World Bank communication manager told us about how we're going to start and introduced himself. After everything, we started. We were talking to Peter Stevens at Singapore and Naomi in Tokyo. He introduced what he was going to talk about and explained to us. After that, he asked us to ask him some questions. So we did. We learned really plenty things that we didn't know. One of the things that I learned was that the World Bank doesn't only lend money, but also give advice.
Okay, very good. Can you give Nakowas a hand, please? Thank you. Okay, Caroline, you see, just a simple story or report. It's not hard. It is. Okay, loud, please.
At roughly around 10 o'clock, we left the school transported by a hired bus to downtown where the World Bank is located. It is situated on the 13th floor of the Deloitte Tower building. When we finally reached the 13th floor, we were edged into the conference room by an officer. We then took our seats and got ourselves in order. After a minute or two, we began our lesson. Firstly, the two sides were introduced, and then students asked questions and were answered by Peter Stevens, who was over at Singapore. We had viewers from Tokyo apart from Singapore. To conclude, it was such a great experience to be part of the video conference.
Okay, very good. Please give her a hand. Thank you, Caroline. Okay, any more? Very short and simple. Very good. We've had 2 girls so far. Any boys? What boy? We'll have 2 last. Can we have 2 last or 2 last volunteers? And then we'll close up. All right, Bronwyn. Thank you, Bronwyn. All right, you others quiet and you'll read.
The excursion to the World Bank in the Deloitte Tower was very enjoyable. Before we left the school, individual students were asked to prepare questions about the World Bank, international trade and organizations. When we arrived at the World Bank office on the 13th floor of the Deloitte Tower, we were welcomed by Chris Rodenet. He introduced us to students in Tokyo and also to Peter Stevens, who told us all about the World Bank groups, its main offices, its roles, aims, and responsibilities. I learned that the World Bank's main office is in Washington, D.C., and that there are 184 member countries. The World Bank's aims are to reduce poverty, empower the poor, and give advice to countries that need it. And it also gives money or loans to countries to help the country with projects. However, the countries ask the World Bank for help and advice, and the World Bank assists them by meeting their needs. We learned also that the latest form of communication is very essential in modern trade around the world.
Okay, very good. Bronwyn, please give her a hand. Thank you. Okay, last one. We'll have the last one. And this time, can we have a boy? Because it looks like 3 girls so far. We'll have the last one from a boy, please. Whether Paulus or Thomas or Charlie or Teddy or Raymond, any one of you, boys. Quickly, the last one before we close up. Okay, Charlie, very good. Okay, you others listen.
As we all got into the bus, I sat at the front seat because I did not want to squeeze up at the back. We drove out of the school and took the freeway down to town. When we arrived, I got out of the bus last with the camera in the back. We all went up the stairs and took the lift, 10 people at a time. Once again, I was the last to go up with the camera crew and a few of my mates. We reached the 13th floor and came out. I joined my comrades and waited in the office. Then it was time. We were led into another room where we found ourselves some seats and sat. The session started and a person in Singapore introduced us to the topic, and after that we asked questions. We also had some viewers in Tokyo, Japan, and they showed us Tokyo City in the morning. When everything was over, we went back to the school.
Okay, very good, Charlie. Please give him a hand. Thank you. Okay, I'd like you to give yourselves 5 big claps. Okay, for going yesterday. Okay. Yep. Receiving students, I hope you read out your reports or your stories in your class or in your classes. What you saw and what you learned from this video conferencing or from the excursion. All right, that brings us to the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, everyone. Yes, our keyword for today's lesson is key phrase, World Bank. Okay, good morning, 8Cs, receiving students and teachers, and thank you for participating.
You're welcome, Miss Yurma, and thank you for your lesson.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Teachers, here is your reference for the next lesson. Your strand, substrand, outcome, the topic, materials, and your reference.